This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's delightful to see you after having been out of town in Orlando for most of the last week attending the Shareholder Summit. As Abby and I both discussed in the parking garage at the airport yesterday, it's good to leave. It's even better to come back. And we were both very ready to get back to family and our daily routines. And in my case, the agents that I love to work with on our Abby team. So I guess I could retire if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I love what I'm doing, and I can honestly say I am more excited and more fired up about what is coming for all of us than I have ever been in my career. In fact, I have been drafting. I've been staying up late and getting up early in Orlando working on tweaking a business plan to get our team to 1,000 agents, to get our mortgage team. I've been saying to 50 closings a month. I've decided now my next goal is 75. 50 is just so close and so easy. I'm stretching that goal a little bit further, but there's just so much good stuff going on and great opportunities. So I appreciate y'all jumping on board. Let me, before I run off at the mouth too much, let me just ask, what's going on with you? Any big frustrations, big wins, new clients, $1 million closings? What's going on in your business?
Frank, I'm seeing a lot of showing time notifications coming across my email, price reduction. And I have a listing right now that went from, I was getting a bunch of showings to, and I've done some price reductions. We've reduced it like $20,000, and I'm not getting showings at all now. All of a sudden, it's like within the last 2 weeks to 30 days, it just almost slowed to a crawl.
Yeah,
I think it may have something to do with the news and some of the other stuff, but
has everything to do with the news and interest rates. I mean, the federal government, their stated policy is to cool off the real estate market. Well, think about that. Our transaction count is down. NAR just released a statistic down 11% this year over last year, and they're predicting a 13% decline in the number of transactions next year. I mean, those are staggering numbers. And then now you throw rising interest rates on top of it and all the talk in the news about a pending recession, and the federal government is accomplishing exactly what they stated they're going to do. They're going to cool off this market. So we've been saying it had to cool off. You know, what goes up in real estate must come down. But the shift is here. It is, Robert, you're exactly right. It's been underway now for about a month. It's been very noticeable in the last month in terms of an extended days on market, fewer showings, fewer sales above list, all the things that were indicative of the hot sellers market. They are gone or in the process of going. Now, there's still some multiple offer situations on particular properties in highly desirable price ranges in neighborhoods, but on the whole, the shift is underway very rapidly. Annie, you want to jump in on this conversation?
Yes, actually, I'm working with a couple of clients that are renters, and I'm running into what we were doing a few months ago on sales in rentals. There's 16 applications for one house. I'll be the first to show it, and then next thing I know, it's like, oh, we got 20 applications, and so we've hit. I mean, I'm really good at doing applications now.
Yes.
And unfortunately, people need a house within, the next couple of weeks, and I'm really, really having a hard time. And their price range isn't that low, I don't think. It's, 1,800, and that's really as high as they can go. But it's been really brutal in that sense. So I guess people are shifting from buying to having to rent because everybody has to live somewhere.
Yeah. Yes, and that's exactly what has happened. Is the appreciation in prices has driven buyers out of the market and either made them into renters or is keeping them as renters. It's very sad. I mean, young families now that would normally be, buying their first 3-2 with a little yard where the kids can play and the dog can run. No, they're having to stay in apartments. So yes, and Annie, it's probably going to remain that way for a while because even as the market cools down, I don't see a solution to the inventory problem. And so, and even as people try to catch up and builders try to catch up, with building inventory, investors are snapping up the available homes. And they're just sucking, even as we provide more inventory, they suck it right back out of the market. And, a young working family can't compete with these Wall Street hedge funds that are trying to buy up the housing market in the US. So just as we got really good at writing offers over the last couple of years, we're going to have to get really good at submitting lease applications because it's going to be very competitive. Kevin?
So I track statistics more closely on the Woodlands, and I track them every week. And yesterday's statistics, I'll give you an example. The number of active homes listed in the Woodlands is 179. That's double what it was about 9 weeks ago. So wow. The number of active listings has doubled. It's still very low though. Let's be clear. So we have an inventory in days. It's now 27 days worth of inventory. That's still less than a month. Before it was half a month. It was 2 weeks. So yes, a shift is occurring, but we've got to keep this in perspective. It's like going, we were going 85 on the highway, and then somebody saw a cop, and now we're going 75. I'm like, oh yes. My God, why are we going so slow? Well, we're going 75, right? So there's that. Yes, there is an increase in the number of, I also track the, what do I call it? The number with price reductions. And yes. Last week, there were 32 of the listings that had a price reduction. Previously, that 10 weeks ago, the number was 4. So that adjustment that Bob speaks of is occurring very much so. But I think the bigger thing, and this is, maybe this is more from my heart, so take this for what it's worth. But the herd's on the move. There's 1,000 people a day moving to Texas. This economic uncertainty, Powell's talking to Congress this morning. They're putting the scare in the herd. They're putting the scare to try and cool the real estate market. They're warning of recession ahead. My belief is that is going to increase the number of people moving to Texas, not decrease it. As fear and uncertainty takes over the rest of the country, we're going to get a double scoop, and some of them are coming to our area. And what Annie says is a lot of them, especially when they first get here, they need to rent. They're afraid of the market, all this and that. So good time for us to, I saw our friend Stacy is getting into rental homes and stuff. It's good time for us as agents to develop our own rentals, because there is an increasing number of people that have to rent. There were some that always chose to rent, and there's some today that still choose to rent. There's an increasing number that have to rent. They've got a little bit of job change. They've got COVID confusion. They've got stuff that Frank spoke of in their credit file that maybe they're not able to get the mortgage they want right now. So the pool of renters is 2 or 3 scoops what it used to be, and that's as Andy said, that's that demand that the rental market is now what the housing market had been. Multiple offers. I'm going to Austin this weekend. It's the case there in Austin that there's a line of people putting in bids to rent a unit.
Yeah. So great insights, Kevin. Victoria, is that you jumping in?
Yeah, I had that experience last year when I was doing rentals for people. It was multiple offers, not winning out. It was horrible. And that's why my renters decided to buy. But but I also, the way the cycle of the economic cycle runs, we go up. We've been up. Now we're going to level off. It's going to be kind of flat. And then at some point, it's going to go down. That's just the way it does.
Yeah. So let me jump in here and share. I always like to share something that, I'm stirred up about, passionate about, and I didn't realize how timely it was going to be for the direction of this conversation this morning. But let me just share with you just very briefly. This morning in my devotional reading, I was reading the story in the Old Testament about the prophet Elijah, who was on the run for his life. The wicked king Ahab was trying to kill him, and so God told Elijah, go out in the wilderness and I'll have the ravens feed you, and he was literally out there for 3 years. He was in the wilderness hiding from this king. And then at one point God says, okay, go back, re-enter. It's time for you to re-engage. And as he does, he's going down the road. He encounters this man named Obadiah. Here's the important part. Obadiah was the right-hand man to the king who'd been trying to kill Elijah. And Obadiah was a good man. He did not support all the wickedness of the evil king. In fact, the scripture is very clear that he was a worshiper of God. And while the king was trying to kill all the prophets, he had taken 100 of them and hidden them in caves, 2 different caves, 50 each, supplied them with bread and water, did everything to keep them alive. And here's the point. He was the right-hand man to the evil king. Isn't it interesting? We might have thought, in our natural mind, well, nobody could work for that wicked king who's out trying to slaughter all the good people. And yet his right-hand man had a completely different moral structure, a different value system, a different faith belief. He didn't sacrifice people and worship to his idols. He worshiped the true and living God. And what my takeaway was, kind of like the other story of Esther in the Old Testament, God has strategically placed people in unlikely places so that they can step up and make a huge and positive impact at just the right time. The book of Esther, it says it like this: for such a time as this. And we are in such a time as this right now in the real estate market, where renters who want to buy can't buy. People who want to buy can't buy, and they have to rent. It's confused. We have the double whammy of a contracting supply with rising prices. It's a formula for a recession. And yet we are here to help, with the skills to help, the training to help, the heart to help. Just like Obadiah was in the right place at the right time to save the lives of 100 prophets, we are here to help families accomplish their goals, stay in their homes. And let me give you a very specific way. It has been predicted since COVID started and this crazy market got out of control that people were going to be losing houses. I remember a couple of years ago, we were being warned by industry experts, you need to get your certifications in helping distressed sellers because there's going to be a lot of foreclosures, a lot of bankruptcies. And some of us did, I did it back in Florida when they had all their issues, but we got certified to help people. But then the rise in appreciation in prices meant that people didn't have to allow their homes to be foreclosed. Even if they were behind on their payments, they had the appreciation created enough equity, they could sell their home and walk away with some money in their pocket. Well, as values correct, as interest rates go up, we are anticipating that this anticipated wave of foreclosures is actually going to hit. And it may be with people who have recently purchased their homes, people who bought at the top of the market. And as it levels off, and as Victoria has predicted, corrects below, you're going to see people upside down in their equity position on their homes, unable to make their payments, and those properties are going to be foreclosed upon. We can be in a position to help those people understand all their options and exit with some dignity and as much assets as possible if we're prepared to help them. EXP has developed an REO certification program. This is one of the things, actually, I got certified in this 2 days ago while I was at the convention, certified in the relocation and REO. REO is real estate owned, and it refers to assets, properties that have been foreclosed upon by the bank. So now on the bank balance sheet, it's called real estate owned, REO, for all the single family homes that are now in the bank inventory, and they don't want to be in the real estate business. So they hire agents to list and sell those properties for them. So I would encourage you, if you didn't get on the bandwagon a couple years ago when we were thinking this wave was going to hit, go ahead and pursue some advanced training and certifications in helping distressed sellers now. And it may not hit to the fall, it may not be till spring, but go ahead and start working out those muscles, gaining the expertise, so that when the time comes, and it always comes in cycles, you'll be prepared to help these people. Okay, so the designation that I got years ago was called SFR, which is a short sales and foreclosures. I was an SFR specialist, short sale and foreclosure specialist. Just Google that. You'll find lots of places offering it. HAR may be offering it. It may be on EXP University, but you'll be able to take those classes online. And I would encourage you to do that, like Obadiah, so that when people are distressed and in trouble, you'll be in a position to step forward and help them. Okay. All right, Victoria.
Well, I got mine right away. Like the first year I was in real estate, I got my SFR. But, you know, I have this radical idea because, you know, the builders, because of the cost, they've started making smaller homes. So you see these 1,200 and 1,300
Right.
square foot homes going for like 300,000 or more.
Yes.
And, you know, nobody's going to want that after a while. And I feel like that housing is just as important as eating. We subsidize farmers. And so if they would subsidize home builders to an extent, because look what happens. They say, build, build, build. We don't have enough houses. So the home builders are out there just building, building, building. But then when things go sideways, they have to pull back, which just exacerbates the problem.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
you know, nobody ever asked me for my opinion, and I've got so many ways to solve all the world's problems, but that's one of mine, free for you today.
Well, I appreciate that, Victoria. I always say, if they would just put me in charge, you know, then everything would work out, you know, because I always think I have much better ideas than what I hear on the evening news coming out of the politicians, but we're still waiting for that to happen. Kevin?
I've already worked out my plan. When they make me king, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put 6 weekends in May. 6 weekends in May. It's especially big for us Texans because after May, it gets pretty hot. So, but all seriousness aside, I am worried. I am worried that the government will fix this. We are having a divide occur in the country, and it's a significant divide. And it's in some ways it's between those that have real estate and those that don't.
Yes.
Those that have real estate have seen this appreciation of assets and
Right.
values and whatnot, and the ones that don't are getting behinder and behinder. Some of them. And my concern, remember the last time the government came in and fixed this, they told the banks that thou shalt loan money to anybody with a pulse. And
Yes.
that gave us the recession of 2008, 2009. It was really not pleasant. It was, and it was government caused because of a disparity in the housing. And my concern right now is that the cards are out there for another fix. And this is a fix that could, quite frankly, just really mess things up for a prolonged period. So I am praying that the government doesn't fix this. I agree there's a problem, but I've just never seen their fixes working well from my perspective. Maybe that's wrong.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that input. Robert, you want to jump in here?
So when I go back to the client that I'm talking about, so they've been on the market now something like 25 days, and it's almost a luxury home. It's up there in the price range. So when I think about, okay, well, if I put them in if they they're actually buying, so they have a contingency for a build. And so they have to close by the end of next month. So if their backout plan is, okay, well, let's rent this other property that we have so that we can get into this, because they can afford both. They're
Okay.
veterans.
Okay.
My question is because the other one, they use their VA benefits. They have another set of VA benefits they can use on the new house. With the VA benefit, it won't allow them to rent that property out unless they refinance it. Isn't that correct?
I believe that is correct. Now, I'm not a VA expert, but I believe that is correct.
Okay.
But I would encourage you to talk to a loan officer who has VA specialization. The way they do that in the VA is that the veteran has certain points or credits they can use, and in particular, if you have both of our buyers are veterans, that may create some additional opportunity. But I do know that renting can be problematic if that's the intent at the time of purchase. Now, in this case, it may not be problematic because they did live in it as their primary residence.
For 6 years.
Yeah, that's the same as on a conventional loan. You know, if you intend to rent it out, you're not going to get what's called a qualifying mortgage. You're going to have to get an investor mortgage. But if you buy it as a primary residence and then because of other circumstances rent it out, it's not a problem. So I would encourage you to talk to a VA specialist about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. All right. Anybody else just been waiting to jump in here? Letty, Cy, Judith?
We're waiting for those golden nuggets that you're I know you're biting at the teeth to tell us something that we just didn't know before.
Okay. Well, let me give Cy a chance, and then I'll share one or two golden nuggets. Go ahead, Cy.
Okay, so I've been in and out of a couple of contracts on my listing, and that the interest rate hike has kind of put the buyer that we have.
Hey, Cy, we can't really understand you. It sounds like you're in a well. Are you able to get closer to the mic?
Can you hear me now?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so our current buyer is probably going to terminate the contract because when those interest rates rose, it made the loan that he currently has unaffordable. So I got multiple offers before. We're getting ready to put it on the market again.
Yes.
Do you have any information about the or knowledge about the City of Houston's grant program? Because we had one offer that came in for that, but I was a little hesitant to deal with that one just because I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about it.
So was it a first-time home buyer grant?
I believe so. They told me that the woman had a $150,000 grant that she could put towards the purchase of the home.
So those typically work out fine. They may extend the closing period just a little bit, but those are legitimate programs. And if she has a certificate of approval, then I don't think I would have too many concerns about it.
Okay.
I would treat it like your other offers.
Okay. Also, when I was considering the offers that I was receiving, as far as like doing the seller's net, I normally just rely on the title company to provide that to my clients. But in this case, I am the client. As we are evaluating offers, what am I deducting or what do I need as the seller to know that I have to pay if I choose a VA or FHA offer? Like what considerations? I know they can't pay certain things, but I don't know what those are. Is there a resource I can look to for that?
Yes, you're talking to him. It's because it's so simple.
Yay.
Yeah, so it's not, I understand your concern and I hear that all the time. There's really just one additional expense. And if it's a VA loan, and that expense is the buyer is required to have a WDI, a termite inspection, but the buyer is not permitted to pay for it. So you will pay for a WDI on a VA borrower. Other than that, there are no additional fees that you as the seller are responsible for. Although I will warn you, and the VA denies this, and I've heard very smart people deny this, but I continue to see this as a pattern, and I've seen it for years and years and years, that VA appraisers appraise lower than FHA and conventional appraisers. And because the buyers are not allowed to use an appraisal waiver on a VA loan, your sellers, in this case you, could get stuck with having to either cancel the contract or negotiate a lower price if that occurs on your property. So when I'm counseling sellers, and hey, my son is active duty military, I tell them, if everything else being the same, you want to go with conventional financing. If you don't have a conventional offer, you want to go with FHA. If you don't have any other offers, then consider the VA. But just I mean, I've had clients lose, $20,000 on a $230,000 house. That's real money.
That's a lot. Yeah. So are there any things with the FHA loans because I probably still about half of the offers I got were FHA loans.
Yeah,
so is there anything?
No, I don't have any concern. It doesn't increase your expenses as a seller.
Okay.
Now, let me say this. What condition is the property in?
It's in excellent condition. We just got a inspection report back. The inspection report was 2 pages long.
Okay, so all government-backed loans, VA, FHA, USDA, they are going to look much closer at property condition. So
Okay.
they're going to look at things like the age of the roof, the age of the HVA system, the foundation, that kind of thing. Conventional appraisers don't really care about those things, but government-backed loans take those things very seriously.
Okay.
So, but
Thank
if your
you,
home is
Frank.
in good condition, then you should be fine.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome, Cy. Let's see, Victoria, I saw you promoting something in the chat. You want to tell us what that is?
Well, it's just the debt to wealth program that I'm working with, and a lot of you are saying some things that about the clients, and they can't get, they need help because, well, basically, America has a huge debt problem. We buy things that we don't need with money that we don't have to impress people that we don't know. And so, and this program is really good for helping people get out of debt quickly, increase their equity, and help them build wealth either through investing in stocks or investing in rental properties. And once you see how it works, it's kind of hard to unsee it. So I'm just saying, check it out. Or if you want to give me a text, I can register you for the webinar.
Okay.
I think you have to be registered. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that, Victoria. I promised you a couple nuggets. Let me share a couple. One, I have been advising people since the COVID madness started to hoard your cash. Some of you heard me say that multiple times. I think in times of uncertainty, cash is king. If we see a drop in real estate values, for example, you could be in a buying position. I'm going to break that for just a moment and say, if you have an opportunity to buy EXP stock, I would encourage you to do it. I don't say that as a stockbroker, and I say that as a very cautious investor. I don't play the stock market. I'm not always watching the journal and this. I don't do that. I put money in mutual funds, index funds, and I invest for the long term. But just a year ago, EXP stock was over 40. Today, it's at 12. It has dropped almost 75% in value. And that mirrors the drop in value of all the other big national and international real estate companies. However, there is one key difference. Those companies are all deeply in debt, and in many of them in decline in terms of agent count and market share. EXP is contrary to all of that. we have seen explosive growth in the last year. We are highly profitable and have zero debt. And I shared a slide in Workplace that I took a picture of it when they were showing it on the screen last week. You know, RE/MAX has got nearly $500 million in debt. And then if we want to talk about Realogy and Compass and all the others, they're all in debt. We have zero debt. So the point is, the market has battered EXP stock because of the industry that we're in. There you go. Thank you, Kevin. Did you take that right off Workplace? Yeah, okay. So I posted on Workplace a few days ago. The industry has battered our stock because we're in real estate, but that is not, our stock value drop is not reflective of what's happening in our company at all. And at some point, the market is going to wake up and say, hey, we can't just paint everybody with the same brush. There's this one company whose results are completely an anomaly to everybody else, and they're going to value us again. So I'm not saying take your life savings, but when I was sitting in the conference last week and I saw these numbers, I went into my Robinhood account and I moved some money out of cash into buying some EXP stock. And I would just encourage you to consider that, not with everything, but with some portion to share in that, because I do think at some point it is going to recover, and it will recover dramatically. It won't be modest growth. It's going to be growth along the lines of the hit that we've taken in the last 12 months. So there's one.
Does EXP pay dividends on their stock? Do they do quarterly dividends?
I hear what you're saying, Si. I understand the question. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
So a little bit of research on Robinhood or any stock website will answer that question for you, though.
Well, one thing they do is they split, which is good. So if you buy, 100 shares and it increases to the split line, then now you have 200 shares. So that's something that's worthwhile.
Yeah. So here's the other little nugget I'm going to share with you. EXP relocation is really gaining steam. This department in our company was created 2 years ago. And I think the statistic I heard in my certification class a couple of days ago was that we have already closed like 3,000 relocation transactions. And we are getting accounts with all the big players, Cartus, Beacon, all of them. And here's something: the director of relocation for EXP nationally, the US, lives in Tomball. Her name is Cindy Nixon. She's right here, she's local. And her right-hand person lives in Florida. And every time I've reached out to her, she has answered the phone, talked to me at length, done Zoom calls with prospective agents who are interested in relocation. I think there's going to be incredible opportunity for you to work with Relo clients if you want to, if you'll get certified. And this is through the EXP certification program. Now, they did an expedited certification for me when we were in Orlando at the shareholder summit. So it'll take a little bit, and it was free. That was a good thing too. Actually, I don't think they charge you for it, but just go into EXP World, go to Relo, and check out the certification class. I think if you spend 8, 10, 12 hours taking that, it could really set you up. We're in a destination market. Kevin mentioned that earlier. In times of uncertainty, people flee to safety, but we're also an attraction center for large corporations. The largest corporation in the world is, headquartered less than 3 miles from where I'm sitting right now. So position yourself. Now, you make less on these, just brace yourself. There's relocation fees that EXP has to pay to Beacon and Cartus and all those. You may make 60 cents on the dollar, for example, but these relos are typically high dollar sales, 600,000, 700,000. The average cost of a company, this is something I learned in class 2 days ago, the average relocation costs $100,000. So companies are not moving low-level employees. They're moving their executive level talent. And so even if you're only making 60 cents on the dollar, they're big dollars. Okay, so I would encourage you to, as another source, you know, in your business. We're working our Sphere, we're working our GeoFarm. Well, let's open up a relocation department and then get to know Cindy. I'd call her and say, you must eat lunch every day. How about I come down to Tomball and take you out to lunch? You know, the building relationships with these people who assign relocation moves can only be in your favor. Okay. All right. There you go. There's just a couple. All right. What else is on your mind? Anybody bumping up against any problems, contract issues, difficult clients, frustrations, anything at all? All right, Letty, looks like you're ready to go.
This is something that's going to be a personal transaction, but I wanted to take y'all's take on my dad's house. That is, we're going to have to figure out, sell it to my brother, do all that, because of course, you know, he did not have a will. So that's a whole other issue. But
Yes.
currently is my brother that lives there, that's going to be purchasing it, has an issue, and my dad also had an issue with our neighbor there, his neighbor, that keeps basically encumbering, you know, like putting all his stuff like against the fence, and it's just, you know, he's moving himself into our property basically. So there's
Yes.
been conversations, there's been all these things. I'm going to be calling the county to see what can be done, but I wanted the one thing that I thought about was, I told my brother, I said, if we did a survey, if I you know, call for a survey of the property, because we do know that my dad even put the fence even like 2 to 4 inches, you know,
Yes,
into,
inside the property.
yes, and my brother remembers because he helped him with that fence. So I thought of, because all the other stuff hasn't worked, and I'm not sure what the county's going to tell me if they go out there and force him to, you know, move his stuff because he's laying everything on it. But I thought of doing our survey, since I'm going to possibly have to do that anyway, and maybe that would be more of on a, you know, legal authority type thing, that once they do the survey, then they'd be like, hey buddy, you know, you need to move your stuff. So I just want to know, have any of y'all, you know, come across something like this? Is that the best route right now?
Okay, I have a couple thoughts, but anybody else want to jump in on this? Have experience with property lines and neighbor abuse? All right, so Letty, I'm going to give you a name and a phone number.
Okay.
And this is for my real estate attorney. I've been using him for a couple years. I've used him now in numerous situations, and I'm involved with him right now in 2 or 3 different situations. And I have found him to just be really, really good. His name is Gary Pate. He's with Thompson Co., which is a very well-respected large law firm here in Houston. And his phone number is 713-358-6779. 713-358-6779. I would encourage everybody to put him in your phone, because there will come a time when you or one of your clients, you know, asks you, you know, can you refer a real estate attorney? And I found Gary very proactively. I was looking for an attorney a couple of years ago, and I called real estate attorneys all over the area. I found them priced anywhere from $300 to $500 an hour. And by the way, I hired a mortgage attorney recently and paid him $500 an hour. So these are legit numbers. Gary quoted me $300. He was the least expensive one. He's brilliant. And when I recently had an agent who needed an attorney and I brought them together, Gary says, Frank, you've sent me so much business, I'm only going to charge your agent $250 an hour on this case. So, and Letty, in your case, he probably would even just talk to you on the phone about your situation. And if he's not, he can probably give you some free advice, is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Unless it involves writing a letter, him going beyond that. But if it's a 10-minute conversation, I doubt he would even bill you for that. So Gary Pate, last name is P-A-T-E,
Okay.
like pate, but
Mhm.
okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You betcha. And always when you call him, say, hey, I work with Frank Gray. He recommended you, and that'll put you in the best position to get the best deal.
And what's
Thank
your
you.
phone number again, please?
So yeah, I think Annie and Rochelle are asking the same question. The phone number is 713-358-6779. And
And
the
also
email,
asking about the name of the firm.
Thompson Co. In fact, let me give you his email address. It's G, the letter G, Pate, P-A-T-E, at thompsonco.com. And co is C-O-E. That's the name of somebody. thompsonco.com. Okay?
Yeah.
He's really good. Nice guy, easy to talk to. You know, as you don't even realize he's an attorney. Seems like a real person when you're talking to him. Kevin?
Hey, Frank, spell Thompson for me.
Yeah, okay. I think you're kidding, but just in case. Thompson.
Guys, just Google Gary Pate, and he's at the top of the list with all
There
the
you go.
information.
The most famous Gary Pate in the world. Okay, Google yourself sometime. I'm like third page. I don't care for that at all. Yeah, Kevin Williams. Google probably didn't even know who you are, Kevin. Last name like Williams. All right. Well, guys, we're coming to the end of our time together. Unless if somebody else wants to jump in, you can. And then otherwise, I'm going to make a book recommendation. Kevin?
Just a quick reminder, movie night, Dario's got movie night happening there at the, you can invite everybody to that. I think it's a family-friendly movie. So I'm actually doing movie night up in Montgomery at our church. I didn't know that this Friday was going to be so popular for movie night, but the mosquitoes will have plenty to choose from. They can bite us in Springs or bite us in Montgomery, but it's movie night tomorrow.
It is movie night. It's 6 to 9 p.m. We're watching the movie called B-Movie, B-E-E movie, family friendly. We will have the fire pit going. Even if you don't have kids, feel free to come. Bring your favorite adult beverage. We'll sit down around the fire pit and just hang out and get to know each other at a little bit deeper level. Robert?
It's 104 degrees outside, Frank. We're gonna be sitting by a fire pit.
So we'll keep the fire low. But hey, the smoke helps keep the skeeters away. But if it is too warm for the kids, we'll put the movie on the inside. We'll sit out, we'll all sweat together. Nobody cares if you're all messy, if we're all messy at the same time. So it'll be fun. I shared with you all, I believe, last week, several books that Coach Burt had recommended and I had ordered. I took all three with me to Orlando. I really only had time to read one of them, and I didn't get all the way through it, but I'm going to hold it up here. Speak to Sell by Dan Kennedy. Oh my goodness, have I been impressed with this. Not a big, thick book, see this? But very, very powerful. Anybody who talks to other people with the intention of influencing them should read this book. And that includes, a listing conversation, a buyer conversation. But the real strength of this is how to persuade people to take action when you're talking to groups. Victoria, you should order this by the case. Get a bunch of these. Yeah, very, very powerful. And he's got the experience. He has actual real world experience. Zig Ziglar called this guy the best group salesperson in the world. And that was based upon his actual results of selling to large groups. But if you're holding buyer seminars, for example, credit repair seminars, whatever it is, If you're involved with our mortgage company and you're going to begin recruiting other LOs, for example, there's an opportunity for that, which I'm not going to get into now. We're doing some very cool stuff, some EXP inspired rev share and that kind of stuff in our mortgage company. But this book is going to propel my efforts. Even in our monthly lunch and learn, where we're explaining the EXP value proposition. Kevin helped me with our last one. Kevin, we got to read this together and redo everything based upon this book. This is what Coach Burt uses. This is what he used to structure his presentation business that enables him to make $25,000 a day.
Ooh.
Okay. So
Sorry.
very, very powerful. All right, Victoria, did you want to get into
Well,
the
I'm
last
just
word?
glad that's so timely. I've been listening to Brian, the guy that
Buffini?
Brian, somebody who does sales. Brian was his last name. Speaking. Anyway, the one that helped write the 12-week year. Anyway, about, you know, and I've been listening. I thought, you know, that's something we have never been taught in Abbey Realty, you know, because
Yes.
that's, I mean, there's an art to it. So that's a very timely.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you'll eat it up, Victoria. Anybody, the subtitle is Persuade, Influence, and Establish Authority and Promote Your Product, Services, Practice, Business, or Cause. So it has wide application, but this is the guy who's been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, and had it gold plated. So he really, really knows what he's doing. And it's just very practical how you start with your very first words and the illustrations that you use, how you prepare people to buy at the end of your session, how you get them emotionally committed to this, to whatever influence, whatever you're trying to get them to do, so that by the end of your conversation, they line up at the table to buy your CDs or sign up for your coaching program or choose you as their real estate agent, whatever it is. Okay. All right, guys. Well, the paper is stacked high and deep on my desk since I have been out of town for a week. I also have appointments lined up, so I'm going to have to call it a wrap. But I appreciate every one of you being on the call today, even you quiet ones. I appreciate y'all stalking us and being part of it just with your ears. So y'all have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, Friday morning, we also have another great class. Cheryl Vecchio is teaching working with sellers, beginning to end. And really, everybody should be here, 10 o'clock. And then we'll have our family night, movie night, fire pit night, starting at 6 tomorrow night, Friday night.
I had a question about that. Is
Yes,
it
Lily?
at the Abbey office?
Yes, in spring. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I think she put a different address because I looked it up. She may have transposed a number because it's showing up at some other, either title company or something.
Where did you see that, Letty?
On the calendar,
On our Abbey team calendar? Oh, your mouth is moving, but we can't hear you anymore, Letty. But that's okay. I'll track it down, and if it's wrong, I'll fix it.
well, it was either on the workplace, wherever she put it.
Okay, I'll track it down. Definitely spring office, 6 p.m. Okay. All right, guys. Have a great one. Go sell something. We'll see you soon.
Frank.
Bye-bye.